Well, I learned something this Christmas that I have never seen before, and it made a big difference in my life, and I'm hoping and praying that by the end of this message, at the end, you'll all come together, that'll make a big difference in your life as well. You see, here's what's happened. Let me tell you the story. Susan's parents are getting older, and we've always gone to church together. We get all the kids that are in town, take up a pew or two in the church, sing the hymns, light the candles, do the whole deal. But because they're getting older, they really can't get into church anymore. It's so long. It takes so much time to get in the car, get out of the car, get to the church, walk, get a place to sit. It's just too much. So we were thinking, well, what can we do this year? You know, it's going to be different. And then I thought, well, let's have the Christmas service, the candlelight service, here in our home around the Christmas tree. I mean, I'm a pastor. I have messages. I can do that. So we invited them, and we invited some other friends from Pennsylvania and Connecticut, Rhode Island, Colorado, California. It was kind of crazy, 20 or so folks. We gathered them, set up the chairs around the Christmas tree, and we had a Christmas Eve service. In fact, it was so cool. Everybody liked it so much because it was so personal and so family-oriented that we're going to do it again next year. And if you're around this neighborhood, you're invited, okay? It was pretty cool. And I had Alexa set up, Alexa play Silent Night instrumental music so we could have something background to sing the songs. And I gave a little message, and we lit the candles that I had ordered on Amazon. And it was really a really special, special time. And I saw something, and I learned something I want to share with you. It begins with John chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God. All things were made through him, and without him was not anything made that was made. You know, we tend to think of Christmas as fairy tales, of imagination, of nice stories, nice people. Christmas comes and Christmas goes, put on a few pounds, go back to work. Same as last year, repeats itself over and over again. But it's not just about fairy tales. It's rooted and grounded in reality, in history. And so John says, in the beginning. And what hit me, what I've never seen before, and I'm going to tie this up at the end with the rest of this passage, is that I've never seen that in the beginning, John chapter 1, verse 1, is the exact same word, the exact parallel to Genesis 1:1, which starts with the same words, in the beginning. John wants to tie his gospel with the power of creation. I mean, how spectacular is that? He's trying to say that this birth is so spectacular, the birth of Jesus, that it has the power of creation with it. And there's more. God reveals himself in creation. Yeah, he does. God reveals himself in nature, and he's going to reveal himself in Jesus. He's just going to knock us over with revelation, revelation, revelation. He's going to reveal his character and his nature. And he's going to do that in nature. He's going to reveal himself, his character. And he's going to do that in nature. That's why he's tying it back to Genesis 1:1. Look outside. Look around. Look out your window just for a second. What do you see out there? You see trees, you see sky, you see grass. You see rain, I don't know what you see, but whatever it is, you see people. Whatever it is, whatever we see comes from God. You see, it's really a question of origins. Where did it come from? And that leads us to the principle that every effect must have an adequate cause. What or who caused everything that exists to exist? What was it? You know, I started out in ministry in Young Life. We'd gather kids together in somebody's living room, and our Young Life was growing bigger and bigger and bigger. I'd play my guitar, and we'd sing songs, and I'd give a talk. And so we had to find bigger and bigger homes. We had a big living room. It was the home of a Westinghouse nuclear physicist. And after we were done, I was packing up my guitar and gathering the songbooks and ready to leave. And he said, hey, can I have a chat with you for just a minute? Why don't you just stop over here and grab a chair in my study? And I said, okay, yeah, what's up? Well, I sat down. I was pretty impressed by who this fellow was. And he said, I'm not really into this Christianity thing. You think Christians think you have the answer to everything, but really the answer is in science. I'm a nuclear physicist. And we have discovered the answers, that the universe started as a tiny ball of matter and energy the size of a peanut, and it exploded, the Big Bang Theory, into everything that exists now. And I said, well, that's pretty impressive, but I do have one question for you. And I'm only 19 or 20 years old. I do have a question. Where did the peanut come from? Yeah, silence. See, science can answer the question of what already exists work? How does it fit together? Let's study what's here. But it cannot answer the question of origins. Where did what is here come from? Where did the peanut come from? Aristotle, a great Christian, said it came from a prime mover. Yes, that there was a first cause, an uncaused cause. You see, philosophically, it's true, we can't have an infinite regression of finite causes. Ultimately, there has to be a first cause. That is, by definition, uncaused. And if it's uncaused, that cause must be self-existent. Now, self-existence is not a logical contradiction. It's not. Something can be self-existent. There can be a first cause that is uncaused. And that cause we talk about and say is God. You see, we're either a product of random chance, in which if we're the product of random chance, nothing really matters. It's just chance. It's absurdity. There are no real ultimate absolute values. There are no morals. There's no absolute truth. Or we have the option of an eternal cause. And that first cause must have within itself everything that we see. What am I saying? I'm saying that every design must have an adequate designer. And the more complex the design, the more complex the designer. If we look around us in the design, in the world, in what exists, and if we see love and beauty and detail and personality and relationship, then we would expect those same characteristics to exist in the first cause, the self-existent first cause. And that gets dangerously close to a definition of the God of Genesis 1. Now, if there is a self-existent first cause, a great designer, the question becomes, has that first cause, that great designer, has that cause revealed itself to us? Has it spoken? Now, of course, in Christianity, we're going to say, yeah, he has spoken in his Holy Scriptures. This is God's eternal truth source that he communicated to us verbally, propositionally, in language. We can't really even explain language. We have a new granddaughter, and we've been watching videos of her, and everybody's waiting to hear what is her first word. What is she going to say? How's she going to communicate? And nobody really figures out how human beings figure out what language is or how it happens. Nobody's really figured that out. Yeah. But we're saying God has communicated himself really, purposefully, propositionally, that is by language, word by word. He's communicated to us. And that's important because everything in our lives depends on our truth source. Is our truth source finite, internal, subjective, what we experience? Or is there a truth source that is infinite, that is eternal, that is objective, that is outside of ourselves? Imagine if we had that kind of truth source, which Christianity makes the claim we do. But there's more. There's even more to it than that. What if that first cause, that first designer, that self-existent being, communicated to us in verbal form, in propositionally, in language, and what if it took that one higher step, one bigger, more powerful, one spectacular step, and became like one of us so we could see him and touch him and listen to him and know him. What if he revealed himself like that to us? I mean, that would be big, big, big news. That would be beyond comprehension, wouldn't it? And that's what happened. Jesus, John is saying, in the beginning was the Word, the Logos, Jesus. And he came here to visit us. He became flesh. He is the clearest expression of God that we would ever see. God saying, I'll become like one of you. You can hear me. You can see me. You can touch me if you want. Yeah, the hemorrhaging woman just reached out and touched him. Yeah. Now, here's my final question. So, if there's this first cause that's communicated verbally to us, and then he comes and visits us, in the beginning was the Word. What has he communicated? And John says he's communicated this to us. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. The first thing he wants to communicate to us, the very first thing, the most important thing he wants to communicate to us is that God is light. That in him is life, and that life is light. And that light is the light of you and me. That God's come to bring light to darkness. Question, what's the only animal that's afraid of the dark? Well, it's not your dog. Your dog's not afraid of the dark. Elephants aren't afraid of the dark. Horses aren't afraid of the dark. Well, what's afraid of the dark? You know what it is? It's you and me, human beings. Well, why are we afraid of the dark? Because we were not created to live in the dark. It was the fall that brought darkness to our lives. But in Jesus there was life, and that life is the light of men. And the light shines in the darkness, John said, and the darkness has not overcome it. I love this. I love this. I love this. I love this. Think about this. Think about this. Light can put out darkness, but darkness can't put out light. When we get to heaven, there is no darkness. It's all light. It's all filled with the glory, this kind of glory of God. There's no light switch in heaven. You don't turn the lights on or off. We live in light all the time because that's where we were created to live. Yeah, in the light. So I love the candlelight service because even in our little home here, I had that little candle and I lit it, and then somebody came and lit their candle from mine, and we spread that light to light, life to life, person to person, heart to heart, and it filled our room with the warmth and the light of Jesus, because God is light. And God wants light in your life and my life, and he wants to cast out the darkness. So God created the world, and then he revealed himself in his scriptures and his son Jesus. He has spoken. He has visited with us. And what did he say? God is light, and you and I are meant to live in the light. So if you're living in anything but light, you're not living the way God created you to live, and neither am I. God does not want us to live in the darkness that crowds into our lives. So what's the good news? God's come to put out the darkness. Yes, he has. That darkness that you have and I have in my life that we struggle with every single day. How do we get in on that? By faith, by trusting in Jesus. Now, this is cool. On New Year's Day, I was taking a walk and trying to sort out 2024 and going into 2025. 2024 was kind of a hard year for me. I had some real speed bumps that threw me for a real loop. There were some good things that happened, but there were some things that were really hard. I mean, life can get hard. It can get dark. And so I'm sorting through all this, and why does this all happen, and what does it all mean? And all of a sudden, I see there's a fellow coming towards me on a bicycle. And as he gets closer, I can see he has on this bright green neon T-shirt, and on it, it says, "Trust Jesus." And I watch him pass me by. He went around the turn, and he's gone. And I don't know if that's the way God speaks, but I'm going to take that. What's God want me to do in 2025? Trust in Jesus. Put my faith in him. God wants to cast out the darkness in my life. How's that going to happen? By me trusting in Jesus, by living in the light, by faith. God wants me to live in the daylight in 2025, by faith, by trusting in Him. That's what He wants me to do. And I'm going to challenge you and encourage you and ask you to pray that you'll live in the light. In the beginning was that power. And it's a power to fill our lives with light in 2025. May our lives burn by faith, in trust, with the light of Jesus in our lives to cast out the darkness. Because light can put out darkness, but darkness cannot put out the light.